Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
I'm back, so deal with it. Let's do this! Finally, The Rock has come back!
Live TV is awesome.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Alright, welcome back folks to WrestleRant Radio for this week, July 14th, 2015. A big episode today, special guest at Reborn Again, Jonn Ritland from the Twitter. Also, you can find him on Ustream and YouTube as well. Great friend of mine, been talking to him on Twitter for years now, a huge wrestling fan. You got a wealth of knowledge about the product and the entire business. He's on the show today. We're all over the map, previewing Battleground on Sunday, talking about Raw last night, the awesome women's angle, where he thinks the direction of WWE might go into SummerSlam, WrestleMania, pitching Wyatt versus Triple H, and so many other angles in regards to TNA, and or topics of discussion rather, in regards to TNA, WCW, and so much more. It's a great conversation. You guys are going to enjoy it. But before we get started, though, just want to kind of preface the following recording, saying that the quality on my end is not great, or at least because of my what happened on my end, the recording is not awesome quality. That where I am right now recording this, I do not get great service. So Jonathan cuts in and out at some point in time. That's because of my my phone just has the shittiest service you can possibly imagine. I don't get great service where I currently live, unfortunately. That also in the fact that I got up a few times, my phone almost died. It's super hot in my house. I thought my phone was going to my laptop was going to overheat like it did a couple times this morning. It's been a crazy day, I'm telling you. So thankfully we got the recording out. I was very nervous it was going to shut down. It was just going to turn off on me. Thankfully that was not the case. And it came out okay. So if you hear any like cutting in and out and whatever of Jonathan on the phone, that was my fault. But you could still hear him pretty much for the most part, and it is a great conversation that I hope you enjoy. Jonathan, how's it going?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Oh, just took a nap. It's really muggy over here, so yeah. That's good. Good.
Good. Well, you excited for Sunday for Battleground?
Yeah. More for the most part. I gotta admit, I'm not sure we forget. I wonder if they're gonna have like an NXT and they have the NXT Women Invade, because I'm not really sold on the Naomi Sasha Banks Tamina pairing unless they're gonna have Sasha Banks attack Naomi. Naomi basically ripped off her gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
With the whole look. When Naomi first debuted that, I'm like, okay, is she trying to irritate Sasha Banks to no end? Because you saw the light up boots, and the goggles, and all that, and I'm like, or the glasses. I'm like, what the hell? What are they doing here? Like, what in the world? I don't know. I don't know. What about because I don't think Paige is gonna win the title. I don't think Paige will.
Well, the thing is that currently there's no Divas match announced for the pay-per-view, unless I missed something, and unless they announced...
Oh, really? They didn't even... I thought they booked Paige versus Naomi. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if they booked Paige versus Naomi.
Oh, maybe they did. I have no idea. I don't think so. As of right now, I haven't heard anything.
Or Paige Nikki, I meant. Not Paige Naomi, Paige Nikki.
Yeah. Well, that begs the question, because they have not yet booked a match for the pay-per-view, do you think that's the match that they might book for the show?
Because even though Paige like 3 chances, or 3-4 chances of Raw, and this is even before Mania, she's got a number of chances. Mm-hmm. I just would be very surprised. I think you saw the report that Nikki has a shoulder.
Yeah.
I think it would be ridiculous to not have her work a match. They've done enough tag teams, enough tag team matches to protect her. Pushing it to 300 or it was 305 for AJ, wasn't it? I think she was at.
I think AJ was 295.
Was it 295? Okay, I
think so.
Remember.
I'm not sure.
I think you're right, but it would just be ridiculous for Nikki to hold it for it'd be another 3 months at least, or close to it, to break that.
I think it's...
if she's got a separated shoulder.
If I'm not mistaken, I think from what someone mapped it out, I think it's the Monday, I want to say, before Night of Champions. So you're right, that's about 2 months from now.
Yeah, it's about 2 months. It's like, I'm not... You know me from talking to me on Twitter for years. I am not the biggest fan of the belts. I don't hate Nikki.
Yeah.
I don't hate Brie. Neither of them can really talk. Nikki has improved in the ring, but still, like last night when she was on the mic, I'm like, good, Nikki. Just shut up. Don't talk. Do not talk.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Just go out there and show your improved ring skills.
No, I agree.
But,
I agree.
I mean, it's just, but if she's got the separation where she cannot hold the title for another 2 months, it's ridiculous. It brings down the Divas division. To me, I'm not saying that she hasn't been good foil for the Divas, but it has gone on long enough. We don't need a near 1 year title reign. We don't need it. Not with Nikki when, I'm just going to come right out and say, I know why she has the title, everybody else knows why she has the title.
Yep.
Team Bella fans will not say why Nikki has the title, or they'll blow it up. Because again, look, there's a reason. Were they sorely missed when they left right after Extreme Rules 2012?
I wouldn't say so. No.
I didn't even know if they were gone. And then when they came back, they were teamed up with Sandow and Rhodes for no reason, and then that match was thrown off of Mania, and Nikki had her shin injury, and I was hoping that she would come back, because I don't... But when she got the title, I was like, okay, she'll lose the title soon. I'm like, okay, let's just bury AJ. All right, we're upset at AJ because her man left because the doctor doesn't know how to treat injuries. And that's just since then. Now I just think it's ridiculous. But like you said, when I think about the Battleground card, I don't think that there is a match scheduled, and I think that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not saying all the NXT women should be involved. I mean, if I remember right, Becky Lynch just said on NXT recently she had like a hip flexor or hip type of injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe she shouldn't be like wrestling just yet, unless it was just like, a strain and she's able to come back soon. But like Charlotte, I think you build the... If it were up to me, I don't know about Battleground unless you want to throw Paige and Nikki there. But I think you got to build to Charlotte, Nikki at SummerSlam.
Yeah, Paige has gotten... I like Paige, but she's gotten so many chances at that title. Since WrestleMania, like you said, it's been crazy. This year alone. So I think keeping her out of the title picture for right now would be fine. But, what do you book in the meantime? Maybe you do... I don't know, maybe like an 8-diva battle royal, and the winner faces Nikki for the title at SummerSlam. That's one thing you can do, I guess, right?
That's probably... I mean, I don't think to do that at Battleground they could. I mean, I think that'd be kind of a stupid one to just throw it together all of a sudden, especially if they try to announce it on SmackDown, because, I mean, and I know you watch SmackDown for your reviews, and other people do also. SmackDown has been direct, outside of a few matches, on a few shows for a while. I haven't even watched it since February. Mm-hmm. So it would have been great for Stephanie to announce the Battle Royal, like you said. Just announce it. Boom. Okay, this is what we're going to have at Battleground. But they didn't announce it.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous.
They've had 5 weeks to build to the show. Since, what was the last show? Money in the Bank. They've had 5 weeks from then to now to book a match for the women, which is fine. They booked a lot of other matches like Rollins and Lesnar, and the tag team title match, and Owens and Cena, Reigns and Wyatt were all announced pretty much about a month ago. But yeah, the Divas match, if there is going to be one, they should have done it Monday. I absolutely agree. I think waiting until SmackDown at the latest is too little too late. They might not have them wrestle at all. They just might do a segment, but they didn't really make anything clear last night.
Yeah, I finally got to watch Raw live for the first time in a while, because as usual, I'm on the West Coast, so I don't always get to see the East Coast feed and everything, or the live feed. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching it, and it seemed like with Raw, a lot of the tag matches were set up strictly to build to Battleground. I'm not sold on Sheamus, Orton, even though they work well together in the ring. I was not a fan of matches in 2010, and when you said about Battleground, I'm like, okay, they'll work a good contested match, but unless this is on the line at any point, this feud's going to be nothing. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the match is not even that, too, but the matches aren't even that good to the point, like, oh, you know, the feud might not mean anything, but at least the match is going to be good. I can't remember the last truly great match they had, you know?
I can't see my opinion. 2010. If you look at their match at Royal Rumble 2010, no one really cared.
Yep.
One, because healed, and there was also really no hype with it.
Exactly.
Sheamus's 2 WWE title reigns in late 2009 to February 2007. He lost it at Elimination Chamber, and then when he won it again, I think. Oh God, was it Fatal 4-Way?
Yep, that was it.
Fatal.
Yeah.
No, it was a Fatal 4-Way the month before, and then he held it for a few months, or maybe he did win a Fatal 4-Way, and then he retained it when Nexus came in. Yeah, he retained it when Nexus came in like in a cage match. It was Sheamus and Cena or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had Sheamus in that year. Yeah, he won the WWE title twice, but he's been a great workhorse for the company. Great guy. I mean, dependable. He has been injury prone the past couple of years, where he was injured for a few months after Money in the Bank 2013, and then late last year he was injured for a number of months. And I'm sure that was part kept off to freshen his character. Even though now I think, even though he's been great as a heel, he looks like Irish Zoidberg as far as I'm concerned. I mean, my God, like when I first saw him, I'm like, what? Why does he look like a guy that would work in a Spencer's or in a tattoo parlor? I mean, I don't even know if there are Spencer's around anymore.
No, I do agree. Yeah, I do agree, though. I feel like his look is different, but I feel like he's been doing. Well, you mentioned before his work as WWE champion. I feel like he's been doing the best work since he first came into the company 5 or 6 years ago. You know, at least he's 10 times more interesting than he was as a babyface. Those, the 1-800 fella commercials, which I'm sure you remember, those were deplorable.
Oh God, I mean, it's but see, my problem wasn't. This is where I'm going to tell you I soured on him as a face. You may agree, you may not agree. He comes in at the 2012 Royal Rumble. He'd had a few matches with Christian and stuff like that. I think they had a match at either it was they had a segment of Survivor Series or a segment of Night of Champions, and I think a match of Survivor Series or something like that. And then Sheamus was kind of getting built, and you felt he might win the Royal Rumble. Well, then Daniel Bryan's in the midst of his world title run and doing the yes, even though he was doing it to spite the fans. The fans caught on to it because they liked him, even as a heel. What did it was Vince showing and flexing his creative control and being the company. And I'm like, no, you're not going to cheer Bryan. You're going to cheer Sheamus coming out of Mania with the 18 seconds. You booed Sheamus. They didn't boo the man, the worker. They don't hate him as a worker, or at least a lot of smart fans won't. They hated it that he was given the title in that. If they had a match like they had in Extreme Rules, their 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah.
Or that, people wouldn't have soured on Sheamus. But from then, that's where people have started to sour on him. Like you said, these 50,000 matches him and Del Rio had.
For no reason.
Right, for no reason. They were all well contested.
Yeah.
But it's like the SummerSlam match that they had. I think it was SummerSlam. Del Rio looked like he was going to win. He hit the top rope arm, the code breaker on the arm or whatever, and he looked like he was going to win, and then he didn't. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Do you guys even know what you're doing here anymore? But yeah, like Sheamus now, he seems to have reinvented himself. The look, I don't care for. At least he's not bald. Somebody said he should have been bald. I go, no. If Eric Rowan was still around, then we would have been confused.
That would have been even worse. Yeah.
Even though their beards aren't similar at all,
they would have looked exactly like. Yeah,
they would have. But yeah, I don't know. Sheamus, I'm glad they went with somebody different to win Money in the Bank, but he just seemed like an odd choice because they're having him do what you said in articles you've done, you said in past tweets, and other people said in past tweets also. but mainly in your articles, what stuck out when you talk about past Money in the Bank winners, they always, especially from, say, Ziggler on. Ziggler may have been the one that broke the mold, but they always had them lose. Lose. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're trying to make the title cash in more shocking. Don't have them be a complete joke.
Yeah.
I feel hasn't recovered, and I don't think ever will.
Yeah, I feel like Ziggler was the first one to kind of do it. Miz did it too a couple years ago when he held it back in 2010, I think it was. He was one guy that kept on losing, and like you said, I think the mindset is that the cash-in will feel more surprising, but it doesn't come across the way to us. It feels like it's a loser winning the championship because they've lost so many times, you know? But with Sheamus, though, you know, he's been winning some matches recently. He has won some matches. He lost some. He just really has no direction right now. I like the character. I think he's come a long way as a heel. But the thing with Orton isn't, you know, it's not fresh.
Ziggler kisses ours.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. He's come along a long way.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, do you feel like he might win on Sunday to kind of further that momentum, or at least kind of kick off some momentum as Mr. Money in the Bank against Orton?
Okay, this is kind of what I think. I think Orton's momentum, and it's sad, I think Orton's momentum out of Mania has pretty much stopped. And which I'm not surprised by, because if I'm right, he just came back recently from having, I believe, a honeymoon with his wife.
Yeah.
Wife. But, I don't know her name, and I don't really care. I mean, good for them. If they're happy, why am I going to argue? But I would think Orton would lose only because, you know, I mean, he doesn't really need the win at this point. I mean, Orton he's 9 months older than I am, so he's 36. No, 35 rather. He's had enough shoulder injuries and stuff like that where people say, oh, he'll stick around for another number of years. And I'm sure his contract runs through another number of years. I would be surprised. So I think you'll see him still up. He'll maybe get another title run at some point. But I think this time you're going to see him take the loss for Sheamus because he needs the win.
Yeah.
Sheamus kind of needs the win because he really wins since coming back, and I mean, like, especially in that glut of like 4 pay-per-views in, you know, less than 2 months. You had Extreme Rules, then you had Payback, then you had Elimination Chamber, then you had Money in the Bank, and I mean, as great as it was for tweeting, it was great for tweeting and interaction on you know, on there, and great to watch for wrestling fans. But I was burned out by that. I mean, it just oversaturated the product. That diluted like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hopeful to see Sheamus win. There were people throwing out the possibility. Well, I mean, we'll come up to that later. There were people throwing out the possibility we may see a swerve in not Sheamus, but Rollins and Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably saw the swerve that people were talking about, because Mercury's out. Apparently, Noble's out. Kane's out now.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Triple H and Stephanie in particular, almost seem to turn face on Raw, which I thought was really odd. I mean, I'm just like thinking, wait a second. I mean, the Authority, we talked at length about how the Authority are basically boring.
Yeah.
But okay. Team with Nikki, I forget it. Forget it. I refuse to care. It was an awesome segment to see the Divas, but like the more I thought about, but Nikki was teaming. At least the Bellas aren't feuding anymore.
Yeah, that was worst case scenario, exactly.
I remember being so frightened, thinking that might happen. Where I'm like, okay, no. I'm surprised that Bree's even on TV and it's not home with Brian, because I don't know how recently Tough Enough was taped. I don't know. I mean, you know, I know it's not live, obviously, or at least I don't think so. But I'm surprised that Brian maybe isn't at home his whole career-ending concussion,
mm-hmm.
which is possible. I mean, they're understanding a lot. 1999. at Starrcade 99, he only had about a few months left on his contract, but he was done after that. I heard a loud beep. I thought that might have been on your end or my end. But anyway, poor Bret. I mean, have you seen the match or not? It was over Bret Hart's Starrcade 99. Have you not seen it?
I have not seen it, no.
Okay, I couldn't remember, but it was a side. I'll just be quick. But it was where Bret got caught weird and basically gave him a concussion. Bret may have been able to continue wrestling if he was given time off. He continued to wrestle, and I believe he even wrestled a match at Sold Out 2000. It was a hardcore match with Terry Funk, either at Sold Out. It got worse. He wasn't given time to recover.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan. Because if I'm right, didn't say he suffered it the night after Mania, but SmackDown. And they had him wrestle for 2 weeks. They had him in tag matches on the European tour, but still.
Yeah.
They had given him time. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying he would have come back, but maybe you could have had him at a pay-per-view. But they, unfortunately, they may have shot themselves in the foot here.
Yeah.
Because poor Brian, I mean, I'm sorry to get off the topic, but
Yeah, I feel like with his injury, because he's on Tough Enough right now, and as you mentioned, well, the live voting is live each week, so I know, and you bring up a good point, he should probably be home resting instead of, shipping or, flying him out to Orlando every single week just for Tough Enough. I don't think it's worth it that much to kind of risk, his injury,
Well, I mean, and I can tell you this: I've suffered 5 concussions. I've been on a flight after suffering one. I think just the night before, and boy, let me tell you, that rise and fall and pressure doesn't feel too good. But I mean, I'm great. I'm just a regular person. But yeah, like you said, having him rest might be a good. He could lend so much. He could lend so much in a GM role on Raw, and help train people. That kind of stuff. And I don't want to write off his career. He could very well recover, come back. But how many times have we said that?
That's true. I mean, yeah.
I mean, he wasn't really injury prone until it was kind of obvious that something that happened. I mean, he suffered that concussion in that cage match teaming with Bray Wyatt versus the Usos in January, but he had recovered and okay, whatever. That was in 2014, obviously. Anyway.
Yeah.
He just couldn't. Once that happened at Mania, I felt so bad because it seemed like it was a step up. They did the horrible stuff with Kane, the tombstone, on the stairs. He had that one match with Kane, and then had to write off the title, and I felt bad. But part of it's on Brian for not getting the surgery when he should have, because he did more damage to himself.
Yeah, he really should have when he had that opportunity. Exactly.
Well, I mean, and not for his career. I mean, I'm sure maybe he thought, some don't believe in surgery, whatever, okay. He's still a professional athlete. He's still a professional wrestler, which I know he calls himself a wrestler, not an entertainer, even though he's an entertaining guy. Not the best on the mic, but definitely can work the crowd like crazy. He needed to take that chance, and he didn't. And unfortunately, he tried, I believe, the same thing that Kurt Angle did with, in 2003, right after Mania 19, where he had certain things done to his neck, whatever, to come back sooner, but he would always have problems with it. Mm-hmm. That's why Kurt has continued to have problems with his neck. And, boy, speaking of Kurt, quick thing, I really hope that he recovers from that tumor that they found in his neck. Yeah, you heard about that, right?
Yeah, I hope he's okay. I mean, I don't even know how long he's going to be out, but he should have hung it up a while ago. I mean, I love Kurt Angle, but with all the injuries that he has and at the age that he's at, it's just not safe for him to be wrestling at this point, especially with the tumor. That was terrible.
Well, yeah, he's 45 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
He found a tumor a year ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't for putting over EC3, but just quick little thing about TNA. If TNA isn't done after September, I'll be surprised.
I don't blame you.
I'm a little worried about this GWF brand, because it seems like they're signing a lot of TNA guys to want to do an invasion. Here's the thing: the reason the WWE WCW invasion didn't work was because they didn't have top guys with them, but they had good athletes, and Vince wouldn't allow a lot of WCW guys to go over his own guys. GWF TNA division won't work because no one cares. TNA has good talent still, or at least had good talent. But they have all those tapings already done in the can after before Slammiversary. But what? Aries is left. Storm is left. I think Rude left. I heard Rude left.
I don't know if
he did.
I don't know if his contract was up. I know he's working Global Force. I don't know if he left or not. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out more soon. But I think the whole Invasion thing is just a complete bust. You know, I don't think it's worth it.
It isn't, because TNA and I mean, obviously, I know when you start watching wrestling and when you start watching TNA, you start watching when the tag team division was stacked, the X division was stacked. You had the title picture stacked.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. The Knockouts picture, even though Knockouts are kind of starting to wane just a little bit there, it was stacked.
Yeah.
You know, pardon the pun. But it was, but that's when the company was doing good. I'm not going to say it was Hogan and Bischoff's fault that TNA failed. Wait, that's exactly what I'm going to say. It was their fault it failed, because Dixie getting too much time on TV.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And TNA since then has been a stained brand. When I started watching it before the Fox Sports days, and then when it was on Fox Sports Net and Spike, it was still finding its footing, but it was great. It was alternative. No company will ever be what WCW was, which was able to take the fight to WWE. And Energy, which, you know, Dixie Carter's parents have, yes, has a ton of money. But it's also an energy oil-based company. Price of oil and stuff like that will fluctuate. So your money, you know, why invest your money in something that's a losing franchise? Like you said, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, no, I feel like with Ted Turner had money too, but I feel like the people that were in charge of WCW, of course, ended up failing. But Eric Bischoff knew how to run WCW and take it to WWE and differ themselves from what they were doing at that time. I don't think Dixie Carter knows how to run a company for her life. You know what I mean?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't at all. I mean, I think that she had more of a. You've seen some stuff on the network. She had more of a deer in the headlights look than Jim Crockett Jr. Jim Crockett Jr. or Jim Crockett Promotions had a deer in the headlights look, but at least loved wrestling and at least knew how to push his talent correctly. He wasn't a big money guy, overspent.
Yeah.
And Ric Flair had said best, if they'd see between Baltimore and Chicago and the Carolinas, they'd still be in business, but they kept winning the stretch. Dixie, when they took Impact on the road, I was like, okay, sure, all right, cool. And then it ultimately failed because, you know, they didn't have a clue. They had to do double tapings and stuff like that. And yeah, the reason that WCW succeeded in part because Bischoff was willing to take the fight to Vince McMahon. And I can tell you from watching, watching wrestling live at that time, it was every Monday night was a Super Bowl. Even when WWE was losing, and WWE besides Bret Hart and Shawn and Steve Austin and The Rock and Mankind and Taker really didn't have a lot going, especially in '97. Now, you had good stuff. You had the Hart Foundation with Pillman, Bulldog, Jim Neidhart, Owen, and Brett. That was a great duo. But not duo, but group. I'm prepared for the Nation personally, with Farouk and all those people. I thought DX was influential, but I always thought that if you compare NWO and DX, NWO is way up there.
Yeah.
NWO is just way up there. But WCW could, and I just say that, I always say, could have won the war if they had realized the marathon and not a sprint and built up their younger talent better. But yeah, Dixie could not build talent for nothing, and ultimately it has bit her in the butt, and there is no company that's gonna, TV company that's gonna bring them on. Destination America realizes it was a mistake. Ring of Honor is a cheaper alternative for them to produce and get money to, and it's a better in-ring product. I mean, it is. I mean, it's like, because of their deal working with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is another great product. I mean, it's just, this GWF TNA thing will not work, though. I mean, it's like, and it's sad because I've seen the GWF roster. It's not great, but it's good.
Yeah, there's no one big name that stands out as being that's like the not like a CM Punk or something like that, right? You only have like these mid carders like Chris Masters and Justin Gabriel.
I'm glad to see Chris Masters gain a chance, though. I'm glad to see him get a chance.
Yeah. like you said, they're good talent. Just none of them are just main event caliber. That's the only thing I feel like.
There's no standout guy. I mean, it's like I had one person that picked on me because Lady Tapa is on the roster, and they're like, I don't think she's any good or whatever. I'm like, I like Lady Tapa. She's doing a good job with honoring her uncle, the Barbarian. Mm-hmm. She's not great in the ring, but she's good. I mean, she's a big Amazon. You can't exactly understand how to move like that. I mean, she's not built like other women, you know?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. But back to Battleground, we were talking, what is the card next year? Because you got Cena versus Owens.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to do like a double DQ or something, or?
I feel like they can't have Cena win. You know, I feel like after they had Owens lose at Money in the Bank, which was fine. I wasn't, too thrilled with that. I felt like they could have kept Owens undefeated for a little longer. But a lot of people were saying
after.
Yeah, I felt like that loss is like, it's okay as long as he wins the next one. And he lost the NXT title, which was fine. Again, they can just keep him protected. And if he loses again, I'm not going to say Owens is dead in the water, but it's going to significantly hinder his momentum. I feel like if he doesn't win on Sunday, then a double DQ might be the way to go, and then give him the title at SummerSlam. Someone suggested to me that maybe you do a non-finish on Sunday. Cena can't win clean. That can't happen. But maybe you do a double DQ, like you said, and then put Cesaro in there in a triple threat match at SummerSlam, and Owens can pin Cesaro and win the title that way. That's one scenario, I guess, right? I'm not sure.
Actually, that might work because it would be nice to see Cesaro because I always go back to when I wanted to punch Vince in the face when he said that Cesaro couldn't connect with the fans. Oh, really? Mania 30, you didn't need that.
He was too Swiss, though. He was too Swiss.
No, but
No, it was just a dumb comment to make,
Well, no. Don't get me wrong. I understand that is Cesaro the most charismatic on the mic? No, but has he improved? Yeah, I think when he talked recently on Raw, especially when he talked last week, that was good.
Yep.
I did like the line that Owens had, to Rusev about sticking it up as Chernobyl. I'm like, oh god, damn you, Dwayne Johnson, you influenced all the sticking up.
Yeah.
But that was. I think Cesaro should be in the match at SummerSlam. I mean, to me, I almost would have had him win 2 weeks ago. I would have had him win 2 weeks ago in that barn burner of a match that he had with Cena in the main event. I would have had him win, and then you could have had that triple threat at Battleground, and you could have had Owens win then. Because now, and he is good, and you said it, and I agree with you, and I agree with everybody else who said it, Cena has had some of the best matches of his career, best matches in WWE U.S. title history since doing this open challenge. Mm-hmm. They have been fantastic. They have been something that has drawn me in to watching Cena matches, which is not easy to do. And that's not to say that Cena can't wrestle. When with the right guy, Cena can wrestle. I put Cena... I mean, this is not just like Cena. I put Cena almost with Lex Luger in this category in this sense. Lex Luger I never really cared for. You've known that. Other people have known that. And my own show, anyways, watch my tweets have known that. But Luger was the type where he almost seemed to coast. Same with a guy like Bulldog. Bulldog almost seemed to coast. Cena is good. With the right guy, and when he's into it, he can have some of the best matches. You talked about, I believe, at your most one of your most recent with your friend John, where you talked about Rock and Cena. I was blown away by how that match was because I figured with all the hype, it was going to end up like Sting Hogan at Starrcade '97. Yeah, it was going to be a crap fest.
That's a match that's hard to beat though in terms of being bad. That's hard to beat.
Sting Hogan. Okay. Yeah. I recently did when I did my WCW review of the second part of 1997. I basically said I stuck 2 middle fingers in the camera and I said that might as well have been what they did to the fans.
Yeah.
For all that hype and all that stuff, and it made money for WCW. They did like 1.1 million pay-per-view buys. And friends of mine that talked to me, that I've talked to for a while on Twitter, were there live, and they said, yeah, that match was horrible. And that was an example of using Bret Hart absolutely dreadfully, which I will never understand today how they used him badly. But what I said about Cena Rock 1, not 2, was a fantastic way of showing, hey, Cena can actually dictate a match. Because, The Rock, there's nobody like him, hadn't been in the ring except for one match, at Survivor Series in, some 8 years. He'd only been in one match in 8 years. Cena was able to carry him, and Rock was able to shine. And I'm not saying Rock needs to be carried, but he was older at that point. And with a little too much muscle for a 41-year-old guy. The Rock workout is absolutely freakish. I don't understand at all how he does it. Like, God. That was a good example of hype, though. Cena will deliver and will continue to deliver good matches when motivated. I just think now with the U.S. title open, it's about time for it to end. We've had our fun. We've had our time, like you said, probably, and I suggested you maybe a double DQ, and then maybe do a three-way at SummerSlam with Cesaro thrown in. Because then Cena can move on to the main event again, because my opinion, I don't think he should. He will, but I don't think he should.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends what the main event scene looks like by the time SummerSlam comes around. If they do a rematch with Lesnar and Rollins, which we'll get to in a minute, I feel like it's too soon too. Maybe they continue to put him in the mid card for right now, or at least upper mid card, in a feud with. I don't know. That's the thing with John Cena right now. I've been saying this forever, but I feel like Kevin Owens was a blessing when he came up, when he did, because there just aren't many people that Cena can feud with right now. He's feuded with pretty much everybody, and I can't bear to see him. I mean, I know you can't either. Another Orton feud or another Big Show feud. My God,
Oh God. I remember when I was watching when the Extreme Rules was happening, a number of months ago. Before that, I was watching all the Extreme Rules debuts, and I think it was 2009.
2009, yeah. The submission match or something like that? Yeah.
Match.
Yep.
Submission match. I remember just tweeting and said, "Oh God, boy, here we go, WrestleRant, here we go, man." God, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh man, Graham, that was horrible. But yeah, when they feuded in 2012, I'm like, I remember ordering Over the Limit 2012, which I enjoyed, especially for Punk, Brian.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this with Cena and John Laurinaitis, and then Big Show knocks him on. I'm like, another feud, really? No. Vince, it worked in 2004. It didn't work in the other subsequent years you've done it. Why are you doing this again? It worked in 2004 because they had a short feud, for the U.S. title in the Mania 20. But now, no, we don't need another one. I mean, there isn't a lot of people he can feud with. He could feud with Cesaro a little bit, but we've seen enough of their matches lately.
Yeah.
Where it would get tired.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't. I would almost say it's like if they put him with Balor, if Balor were to come up next year, matches. I think, even though I think by then Balor will turn heel, I think Balor is going to be revealed as the guy that attacked Hideo.
You think so?
Here's why. Okay, it was Tokyo. The Beats and the thing was geared for Owens.
Mm-hmm.
It was geared for it, but Hideo's unfortunate shoulder injury happened. Owens is too much of an obvious choice, and Owens is on the main roster. Won't be Samoa Joe because Samoa Joe is not part of the company. Unless they want to say Samoa Joe blindsided, I just don't think Joe would be a good choice.
That would just be weird, yeah.
It would be only because of the timing. I mean, if Joe had been part of the company at the time, maybe. But, because I don't think Joe would need to necessarily blindside somebody. He could just overpower somebody. But you have Finn Balor be it because, Finn taps into the demon, and really he needed to take out Hideo because even though he had earned his shot and had lost, he lost to Owens after he had earned his shot at one of the specials. He lost on NXT taping, and then Hideo had his chance, and then Hideo got injured. And maybe Balor was like, I realize, it's like, you didn't deserve your chance. Your chance, what are you going to do about it? Triple H has done more old school, simplified booking in NXT. It would sell itself because Hideo and Balor could have some good matches.
Yeah.
My only problem is I like Hideo. He just can't connect enough with the crowds. He connects good. Don't get me wrong. Japan would have loved him. And other people would have loved him. And Hideo's good in the ring, really good in the ring. The crowd's going to pop huge the first time he hits the GTS. You know, I mean, they had footage of them doing that at a special right before Mania. But if they, you know, they'll, and it's like a lot of the Japanese style is hard to translate to the American fans. A lot of the casual American fans. I mean, I could go back for years and years. The only two Japanese guys I could think of that really made a splash in Japan and the U.S. were the Great Muta and Jushin Thunder Liger. Other than that, a lot of them really haven't. And that's not a fault on them as athletes. That's just my opinion.
No, I just feel like with WWE, they just kind of label, especially the Japanese guys, a lot of their foreigner characters, but I think especially with the Japanese athletes, they label them as a typical Japanese, not a Japanese wrestler. What I'm trying to say is, like, you know, a Yoshitatsu is a perfect example of a guy who was a great wrestler, but they saddle him with this dumb gimmick where he's bowing all the time. He can't speak English. He has this, you know, goofy entrance music. They did the same thing with Tajiri. They did the same thing with all these other guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought his music was like some opening for an anime. I was like, should I expect to be having a seizure here from all the colors and music soon?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I mean, but it's like you said, Tajiri, years and years ago, when Tajiri had already had a decent career in I believe, I can't remember the company. I think it might have been FMW or it might have been something. It was something in Japan though. He was in ECW for a bit. He came over during the invasion and he was like a servant to Regal.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
It was. I mean, now okay, whatever. You need to introduce him to the fans. I understand that, but I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. And then they had him where he was trying to qualify for the King of the Ring tournament, and I think he got into it, and he got to, like, the final 8. But it was weird because it's like, oh, they showed he could wrestle. Well, anybody that watched ECW or anybody that watched Japan knew that he would wrestle. And it's like, it just almost seemed to insult the fans' intelligence, even though back in 2001 the product was still good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said with Yoshitatsu, and then Funaki, when they did the whole stupid Kung Fu Naki thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, boy. I mean, they had him and they had Taka. They had him and Taka Michinoku, who's Kai and Tai, years and years ago, where they finally started doing this bad dubbing Japanese martial arts stuff, and I'm like, really? And I mean, I'm even 20 years old watching this, like, what is this? I mean, I laughed a bit at it because I like those old stupid martial arts movies, but I'm like, this isn't how you book foreign talent.
Exactly. That's a recurring theme. It's been the case for 15 years at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, oh boy. Speaking of foreign talents that haven't been as good, I know, boy, the kickoff match has us excited. Everybody excited. Truth versus Barrett.
Oh, yeah. On the kickoff show? For the King's Crown, I know. I know you feel the same apathy for this match that I do, too.
Is it for the King's Crown?
I believe so. That's what's being advertised, yeah, which is even stupider. I feel like they should just do away with the entire gimmick altogether. It's not helping Barrett. Truth isn't doing anything. It's a total waste of time.
God, it has been oh, God. And they're both really good athletes. I mean, Truth, I've agreed with what you said about Truth. I like Truth in TNA because he was a lot better. Maybe to be more himself, a little more adult. Now he's a little too PG, obviously, in WWE. His heel run was the best part. That's exactly it.
I feel like...
God,
he
was so amusing as a damn heel. I mean, one of the best segments I think that involved him was, he was, what was it? He was like, one of his first promos when he said, all the little Jimmies want me to be a good archer. I have no idea what he's saying. It's amusing. Boy. What was it? One of my favorite things that involved him was something that Brian said. It was Truth and Kofi Kingston on the outside. Brian had apparently kicked little Jimmy on the outside, and so I mean, obviously, visible little Jimmy. Well, Truth is out there. You're consoling an invisible child, and you're asking what's wrong with me. And I don't know why that line always sticks out in my mind. But like after that, Truth just got to... It's not even Truth that got stale. It's not his fault so much. I mean, the guy can only do so much with what he's given.
Yeah.
I mean, for 42, 43, he still can move pretty damn good in the ring. Yeah, he's the same damn character he was before his heel turn and after his heel turn, and okay, enough already. He's got the plunger, which, I gotta be honest, the plunger is pretty much a metaphor for this whole feud.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
Oh, man, it's just bad. Let's see. I mean, what do we got? You mentioned earlier before I got off on all these tangents, and we got up on all these tangents. PTP versus the New Day.
Who do you see going over?
What's that?
Who do you see going over?
You know, I guess today, PTP. It's nice to see them with the championships. Bloom's already off the rose. I think. They're good as champions. I think Titus will make an excellent commentator after he retires. Seriously, I think you can have Titus on commentary because he can actually be amusing and call a match. So he's basically what JBL was before, he got drunk and took off the cowboy hat. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's like, I can't understand why they changed titles that quick. I was not a fan of New Day when they debuted on Black Friday, no less, which I'm like, okay, we get it, Vince. We get what you're doing. I'll put the subtle racism. We get it. But when they debuted, I was like, you were excited. People were excited because they're going to be heels. But then they showed all this congregation, the soul music and the church music and all that. You're like, what?
Total garbage as baby faces. I feel like as heels though, they're finally thriving. They finally have some momentum.
They're great. Yeah, they're great. I mean, and they were just starting to build momentum as champions, and then what was it? At Money in the Bank, they lost the tag titles.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that... And it was just out of nowhere, and you're like, all right, what? I mean, I'm glad to see Darren and Titus win the tag titles, which should have happened way before they ever broke up as a team the first time. It just seemed very odd. I'd be surprised if New Day didn't win, because New Day, I think, still has, as far as a gimmick. And if they don't win, they win a SummerSlam, because PvP is good as a team. They are. They're a damn good team. Need to have New Day win. Build it to where you have the Lucha Dragons take it at maybe Hell in a Cell or something like that. Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series. Because I think that would be a damn good match, a damn good feud. I think Lucha Dragons would actually be tremendous to see feud with New Day, because you can even bring. I don't know who you would bring as foil for the Lucha, or with the Lucha Dragons, maybe another luchador, because you'd have to have somebody team up with them to face New Day on some TV matches. You could team Neville with them or something. Because they seem to kind of have given up on Neville, too. I don't know. I think New Day goes. What about you?
I gotta go with New Day, too. If only for the fact that in recent weeks, ever since that title change back at Money in the Bank 5 weeks ago, they've had primetime players go over in every single match they've had, whether it be a singles match or a six-man or a tag team, whatever. The New Day have lost pretty much every single match, and Booking 101 says they win back the belts on Sunday. So, I mean, I feel like with the titles, they've had a lot of good champions in the last, 6 or 7 months, but the champions never get more than a 2-month reign. The New Day had them for 2 months. Cesaro and Kidd had them for 2 months. Miz and Sandow had them for 2 months. They do it way too quickly, They need to find a team and stick with them.
Well, the thing is, they did that last year. They had the Usos win the tag title from the New Age Outlaws, which felt so funny in 2014. It felt so funny to say that, where I'm like, what? But whatever. They held them for 6 months. But you're talking about the last few months.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, besides the Usos, like you said, it's really held on to. And speaking of Kid Cesaro, I hope the kid comes back 100%. I don't want to see him get back in the ring. He nearly died. I'm sorry to get somber here, but you heard about the injury he suffered.
Yeah, it started out, it was like, it was just an injury, but, after hearing more and more about it, it's a lot worse than a lot of people expected. He's going to be out for a long time.
He will be. Well, I mean, it's the same injury Christopher Reeve, one of the original Superman, suffered.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, he wasn't rushed to the hospital. It was in a horseback riding accident, not in the ring, obviously, but he wasn't rushed to the hospital soon enough, so they weren't able to save his ability to, be able to walk some time later. So, yeah, I mean, they said something like 14 months. I don't know if it's going to be longer now, because that was before it was really revealed what the injury actually was. And I just fear that kid, I want to see him get back in the ring if he feels he can go. But when you get to 30, he's 35, I think he's about 35 right now. He needs to start thinking about life after wrestling. And I feel bad for writing that off, writing people off like that. Because, I'm 34, so I feel bad kind of writing people off that are athletes like that. But when you get to where you've had 10, 15, some years in the ring, your body's going to eventually get to where you're taking the abuse too much. And it was a freak accident. No one's blaming Joe. I'm certainly not. But may not want to wrestle much past another year or two. He may not be back in the ring till sometime next SummerSlam.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
I would. No, so would I. Get me wrong. I would too.
Yeah.
Actually, and aren't you and John going to the SummerSlam?
Yeah, we'll be at SummerSlam next month. That's correct.
God, you guys, I'm so jealous. I will be at one of the Raw. There's going to be a Raw on August 10th in Everett. Everett, Washington. I will actually be there. I only got told that by my best friend, and it's funny, she's going to be going, and she's 4'8". She says, well, will I be able to see us? I said, well, you could stand on the end of the aisle, because I'm not putting you up on my shoulders.
Yeah, right.
I know that sounds so big, but you know me, I've been to a handful. You've been way more events than I have. I've only been to a handful. I was at 2004, I was at the Raw right after Unforgiven 2004.
Mm-hmm.
To get to see Ric Flair wrestle, which was really awesome. It was a short 3-on-1 handicap match, but still, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was weird to see Benoit live, and I don't have the tape anymore, but I was shown applauding. Me and my best friend were shown applauding. A bunch of other people were shown applauding him. And I think back to that, I'm like, ooh, boy, glad I don't have that tape anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh God, that would be a different subject for another show. God, that's just one where I'm like, wow. I saw one right before Cyber Sunday, 2008,
yeah,
where Mike Adamle was still the GM.
Oh
and
God,
boy, we booed the living hell out of him out of the. Oh God, couldn't even, actually, it might have been before even their October pay-per-view, because, or way before that, because I think it was at the beginning of October. But God, we booed him out of the building. And the guy may have been a nice guy, but he did not belong in wrestling. But actually, we saw, you remember Lansky, we saw.
Right before he left?
Yep, right before he left. That no DQ match that he had with Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that was the final, that was his final match, I think, right?
I believe so. I believe it was I think it was his final match. He got put through the table and stuff like that. But
he wrestled that match, and then it was like later that week he got released for something that happened on an airplane, or something that had to do with pills or whatever. And unfortunately passed away a couple years after that, but still.
Yeah, well, he was only 29, which I'm like, that's a show. That's a show to be done where it's like, I've actually done that. I've kind of reflected on that in a couple of my shows where I talk about wrestlers. And I just think so many of them. He was before 30. There are some before 40. There are some just after 40. But anyway, I remember seeing Over the Limit 2011, where I got to see you got to see Christian Morton, and I know big shout out to you. You love that feud. Mm-hmm. That was great. That was the best match to see live. Because boy, they had the crowd in the palm of their hands. It was a great back and forth match, counter for counter, move for move. Unfortunately, that meant we also had to see Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler in the Kiss My Foot match.
Yeah, and then what was the other match? I didn't like Cena and Miz either for whatever reason. It just felt like it was way too one-sided, and the Miz tapped out way too quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He tapped out way too quickly, and then you had Punk and Mason Ryan, Irish Batista versus
Big Show,
Kane and Big Show for the tag titles, which was fun. He basically was. He looked like, when I first saw him, I was like, when the hell did they re-sign Batista? And then I saw him in the ring. Oh, okay, that's not Batista. But anyway, but it was nice because he Macho Man Randy Savage had died just before that pay-per-view.
Just that Friday, yeah. And Punk had done the elbow. That's when he started doing the elbow. Yeah, exactly.
Did the elbow. That's when he first started doing it. We had a lot. It didn't translate across TV, but they showed a Randy Savage graphic right before the pay-per-view went on the air.
Oh, did they?
Right. Yeah, they did. They showed it actually right before it went on the air. I think, if I remember right, they might.
I don't remember that.
Randy Savage.
I'm trying to.
It was a really throwaway pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you. But it was one thing that was great. I popped huge seeing Bret Hart live. I mean, when I saw him live, granted, all he did was slap on the sharpshooter, but still, Bret Hart, one of my heroes, one of the reasons that I stayed in wrestling, because Hogan and Piper got me into wrestling. Ric Flair got me into wrestling. I know William Regal
got me into wrestling.
I believe in the first. Yeah, Regal was the first one that got you into wrestling.
Yeah,
which is a great choice. But the show I'm most proud of seeing was the 2013 Slammies, where they drowned people out in Daniel Bryan chants.
Oh, you were at that show, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and you kind of remember that, how loud the chants were in that championship ascension ceremony.
That was crazy. Yeah, they showed that when you watch WrestleMania 30. I mean, they showed at that time. Obviously, I remember what you're talking about. But in the WrestleMania 30 match before Bryan and Triple H, that awesome promo they aired, they recapped that moment from the Slammies and those loud D-Bry chants. Yeah, I remember that.
Boy, let me tell you, it was. If you thought the chants were loud on TV, if any of you thought the chants were loud on TV, God, they were nothing live. It was ear splitting.
Yeah.
It literally. I mean, the key arena that the show was in, it's just not an arena. I'm amazed that place doesn't explode. It's a horrible arena, but God, it was so loud in there. I mean, it was just amazing. But that's the one thing I remember what you said on some pieces you did about not missing the WWE event live when you get a chance. I've missed a few because just of finance. But yeah, I gotta agree with you. Don't miss a chance to watch it.
You can't. Those shows are so great. That was a really good show too.
It was. No, the Slammers was a lot of fun. It was exhausting to watch it. Watch 3.5 hours of wrestling. We actually got to see one of his first match. And he was without Lana, but it's like, boy, let me tell you something. Rusev's a big guy in person.
Mm-hmm.
He's a solid guy in person. I was like, boy, those kicks sound like they really hurt, too. Rusev, I don't know what they're doing with him.
Yeah, that's the worst thing, in my opinion, probably the worst thing going in WWE right now is the thing with Summer Rae, and then, I saw your tweet. I saw your tweet from last night. It said, fuck you, that's why, with the picture of the duck. That was really funny.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. Summer, Lana, Rusev, Summer. Why? Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, that was funny.
It sums it up perfectly. Have you heard that Ziggler's re-signed, right?
I just heard that today, yeah.
Okay, yeah, he did re-sign. I did see that, right? I couldn't remember. I was watching Starrcade 98 because I hate myself and I wanted to see WCW kill themselves with the Goldberg taser gun thing. But anyway, oh god. That could be something to do on one of your shows, and that's about worst decisions.
Yeah, that's up there.
Boy, that's up there. But I was watching that, but I remember I saw that tweet live, and I was like, nice, that's very cool. I was like, very good. I'm happy with Ziggler, because he's going to make more money, he's going to get more exposure doing that. I was hoping that maybe he'd leave if he wasn't going to get, the push that he wanted. I just hope I don't know if they can give him a world title push, because there's only one title.
Yeah, I feel like, guys like him, Barrett, Rhodes, Ziggler, guys like that, I feel like will never, or very likely will never get another chance at a world championship because there's only one of them. You're going to have guys like Rollins, and if Cena and Orton and Lesnar aren't in the title picture, then you'll have guys like Rollins and Reigns and Ambrose. Those undercard guys may never get a shot, unfortunately.
Well, and I'm not suggesting that they split the titles again, but it might not be a bad idea, because one time that they really could have benefited from not splitting the titles was when for about 8 months and wasn't there.
Exactly.
I mean, he had a limited contract. He had a limited contract appearance, but still, you could have benefited from having a world title then.
And it could have boosted the prestige of that belt too.
Or you could have boosted the mid-card titles, which they did.
Yeah. What they're doing with John Cena right now should have been happening back in the fall. You know, that would have helped.
Right. No,
yeah.
Totally. I mean, Cena's done great. And I'm not saying Cena can't do great with the U.S. title, but like I said earlier, blooms off the rose. We need to get to where we wrap this up, and he's not the champion anymore. He's had the title long enough. He's had the title, since the very end of March, which was when Mania ended. So if you have him, like I said, the false finish double DQ, and then have it at SummerSlam, okay, then he will have had the title nearly 5 months. That's fine. I wonder where they're going with Ambrose, or not Ambrose. Cena Ambrose, does Ambrose even have a match on the card?
No, I feel like he's going to get involved in the Reigns and Wyatt match. Yeah, I feel like he might, if he's not going to turn heel, he'll at least get involved in that match. I feel like Reigns and Wyatt.
That's possible. Yeah, because that match, Reigns, Wyatt has one off written all over it.
Yeah.
Which is sad because they've done pretty good with the build. I mean, especially coming off the Creed, made a major blunder by not having Wyatt beat Cena at Mania. Major.
I feel like he hasn't been the same since.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't at all. And I'm not seeing the Wyatt couldn't have taken the loss afterwards. He could have lost at Extreme Rules or had a false finish, and then Cena could have won outright at Payback and whatever, because they ended at Payback. Yeah, he has not been the same since. He did a great job building that match or building that feud with the Undertaker.
Yeah, I feel like, given the fact that he was there by himself every single week, and Taker we didn't hear from him at all. Wyatt did, I thought, an exceptional job of building up that feud by himself going into the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, unfortunately, now I got to give Wyatt credit because apparently he had really hurt his ankle earlier that day, and you could tell he was in a lot of pain walking on it.
Yeah.
And he must have been pumped full of meds or something, or they must have numbed it or something, but it's like he got through that match. I just wish that they maybe would have done Wyatt Taker at Mania 30 instead of 31. Because I still feel, I'm sure you might have seen articles about Brock, that Brock did not want to end the streak. That while Brock maybe not been the easiest guy to work with and not the nicest guy, Brock and Taker had their issues. He still respected Taker.
Yeah.
And didn't want to end the streak. And looking back, I kind of wish they hadn't. Even though, granted, it did help launch Brock even more, you could have had Brock beat Cena. And then had Cena with the title of SummerSlam. You could have done that and it still would have been fine.
Yeah.
And Brock could have gotten a little more revenge for stupidly having to lose his return match at Extreme Rules 2012. Which I will never to this day understand. Unless it was Vince's way of saying, hey, I retired you, your job in the first match.
Yeah.
Which is probably it. Hey, this is what you get for what you and Goldberg did in Madison Square Garden at WrestleMania 20.
Wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
God, that's possible. But here's what I think. Reigns wins on Sunday, no doubt. I don't think there's any way he can't. Unless for some reason they decide to have the lights go out and then you have Reigns' daughter appear at the stage singing He's Got the Whole World. I'm a Little Teapot thing.
Yeah.
And it scares Reigns enough. And then you have Wyatt hit the Sister Abigail and pin him. And then you have another match at SummerSlam. That's the only way I could see them maybe continuing it.
I could see that. I feel like in that scenario, because I was just thinking about that when you were talking about the feud, they haven't brought up the daughter at all since they had Reigns go after her backstage or something. We haven't heard anything about that whatsoever. Now it's just basic brawling, which is fine. The feud's been decent. But what was the whole point of the whole daughter thing or anyone but you? Like, we still have no idea what he's talking about. Maybe they're going to reveal it, but, past has shown that they won't.
Yeah, he lazily went back there to get his daughter, too, where I'm like, wow. I can understand why Reigns went back there because he's not used to going up the entranceway. So when I saw him attack Wyatt or whatever, he kind of missed the lighting cue a little bit when he attacked Wyatt last night. When Reigns did, I was like, good, breaking news: Roman Reigns found the entranceway. I mean, I don't mean hypocrisy. I try to hammer this with so many people that are Roman Reigns fanboys and fangirls. The insane ones, kind of like the ones you refer to for the Bellas, when you refer to him in that SGSN video that you did with John.
Yeah.
Where it's like one tweet that you put out in the picture and you just got a slew of tweets. I get hate from Bella tweets or Bella fans all the time. I get hate from some Reigns fans, and there was one in particular that thought I was hating on Reigns. I don't hate Reigns the performer. Hate Reigns the guy. I don't think he's ready. He will not be ready for the main event for a while. He kind of held his own. He is 31, but it was obvious.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing that they didn't have Reigns, because that San Francisco stadium might have imploded. And I had were booing Reigns. They needed extra security to get into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a lot of security with them. But here's what I think. I agree with you. Probably will be Ambrose getting involved somehow, because Ambrose wasn't able to have his match with Wyatt on Raw. Yeah. Even though we've seen that match plenty of times in late 2014, early 2015. But, God, what's the other match? Because I'm trying to think.
Or the main event.
Title match, what's that? I'm trying to think of what other matches are on the card.
No, I think that's about it. I think the only one we didn't cover was the main event.
Well, we have Big Show and Ryback.
Oh yeah. Well, who do you go?
I don't care.
We'll quickly go over that one. Who do you see going over?
Ryback.
Yeah, same.
Ryback probably pins Miz.
Yeah, that's what I see happening too. Yeah.
You got more of a chance you got more miles. You want to have Ryback versus Miz maybe. Then you have Big Show, because like you said so many times, Big Show passes prime and we don't need to see him anymore.
Yeah.
We just don't. But main event, Brock will not walk out as champion. He won't.
You think he gets pinned?
Do I think he gets pinned? Here's what I think happens. This is one of two scenarios. I think Rollins somehow gets a fluky win, something or whatever, where Brock gets distracted, where Brock, hits some bad move or bounces off the ropes or hits his head on an exposed turnbuckle or something, and Rollins gets the win. Rollins needs to stop using the pedigree, though. Either that happens or, he gets a fluky win like that, where Brock doesn't look, weak in defeat. Or you have Triple H come out and attack Rollins while the referee is down, which builds to Triple H Rollins SummerSlam if they decide to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and this is the wild card, no help at all. He's out. Kane, Mercury, Noble are out. All of a sudden lights go. Brock looks like he's going to beat Rollins. F5, lights go out. Or he's going to F5 him on the table, something like that. Lights go up. Boom! You hear the table spot. Lights come back on, and it's Ambrose and Reigns standing by.
Ooh, okay.
And you decide to do your Shield reunion there.
Okay.
And the only reason I thought that is, it's a friend of mine, Jordan, that I talked to. I talked to him here and there. He lives in Cleveland. He suggested that not necessarily that spot, but the Shield reunion, only because Rollins doesn't have any help. How the hell is he going to beat Lesnar?
Yeah.
How are you going to beat a motivated 280-pound guy that could toss you around like crazy? Not that Rollins isn't good, but how are you going to do that? That's the only way I can see it. Or, and this is one that just popped into my head, F5 by, a couple F5s by Brock. One, ref that by, and they do what they did at Survivor Series 2002.
Oh, with Heyman turning on him? Yeah.
Yep, Heyman turned on him. That's all I can think of. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, what do you see happening?
The Shield thing is interesting. I know some people were talking about that potentially happening, maybe a Payback a couple months ago when they had that Fatal 4-Way. It makes kind of sense. I mean, I could see that in that, Rollins needs help and he needs someone to help him beat Lesnar, so he enlists the help of the Shield. The only thing is that Rollins has spent the last year feuding with both guys, Reigns and Ambrose, so it might not make much sense right now to reunite them. And I feel like right now is not the time to do it. I feel like there's more money to be made in Ambrose and Reigns as baby faces, but it's still a plausible scenario.
Wait, I just remembered a scenario I came up with last night.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, all of a sudden, Shield has power bombed, or Shield triple power bombs Lesnar. 1, 2, 3, ref comes back to life. Lights go out again. As the Shield's standing over, Wyatt is standing there on his knees. Think about it. Wyatt always talked about wanting to bring down the machine. What better way than to reunite the Shield to take down the Authority?
Ooh, that's true. That's true.
I just thought about what better way a little more momentum. That maybe this whole thing with Reigns was just a swerve. Even though it's been a good, very loose guy, I very much doubt they will go that route. But I just thought, I'm like, if Wyatt wants to take down that machine like he always talked about, you could lead to Wyatt versus Triple H at Mania 32.
That would be a nice match, yeah.
You could nurture and build that. Somebody came up with a scenario that, like, okay, Triple H turns around SummerSlam. I think his Twitter handle's InVaneHabstam, so I got to give him credit for this. But talked about building it where between Triple H and Wyatt, where Triple H will not face Wyatt. He will not face him. He feels he's done in the ring, this kind of stuff. Which Triple H should be done in the ring soon, even though he can deliver a good match still. But you build and build, and they kind of get around Rumble time where Bray has a really good showing in the Rumble, but doesn't win it, and keeps calling out Triple H. Triple H then gets to where he's really getting frustrated and is going to do it, then decides not to. Bray lays him in the ring. Next week, Triple H calls him out. And they have this Titantron thing, where Bray is like talking, and it cuts back to this camera shot, and it's name over a bed. I don't names over their beds of like the daughters. And then the next week, Triple H is like losing. Triple H says, "Okay, you want to face me?" You say that's the week before Mania, or a couple weeks before Mania, or before Mania. Mm-hmm. Cuts in, Triple H is like, saying, okay, you want to fight me? You're going to get the cerebral assassin, the game, the King of Kings, all this stuff. So suddenly 3 girls are singing, he's got the whole world in his hands right on the stage, and it's Triple H's daughters.
Ooh.
I'm like, ooh. And I read this, and I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about how good that would be. Like, yeah, man, you thought this out good. But that's what I would do. But I would almost have, if I could have my way, I would say, lights go out, Triple H, or a triple power bomb by the Shield, and then phone's covered as the ref comes back in. And then lights go out again, and the Wyatt is standing there with the Shield on his knees, like over Brock. And then you could have Brock versus Wyatt at SummerSlam. Something like that. I mean, hey, it'd be a fresh match.
Exactly. Like I was saying before, I feel like with John Cena, too, Wyatt is another guy that doesn't have any more fresh faces to go up against. I feel like Brock Lesnar versus Wyatt would be a kick-ass match, too.
It would be. It would be unique because Wyatt doesn't move as... not that Brock does either, but Wyatt doesn't move like a lot of guys his size should be able to.
Exactly, yeah. The guy's an amazing athlete.
Would be. Battleground could be a fun show. I worry a little bit about it, but it could be fun. They've given 5 weeks to build it, like you said.
Yeah, and they've made the most of it, especially after the strong Raw on Monday. I'm looking forward to what they deliver on Sunday. It could be a really good show.
Say so, man. Say so. Especially for NXT. I'm glad to see what they do with the women.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with no match announced. Maybe they make something up at SmackDown, as you mentioned earlier, or... I don't know, they just have a segment or something, but they were the biggest talking point coming out of Raw, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the women and at... How long has it been since the Divas, for a good reason, have been the talk of Raw coming out of it? Exactly.
It's been a while. It's been a
long time.
We really talked about anything bad with Divas. Where it's like, oh God, did you see what happened with the Divas? Was wait, anything with the Bellas, pretty much. The growing up Bellas segments. Oh God.
Oh, don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Yeah. God, I wish that Angle had died in the womb.
Yeah, exactly. Don't we all?
Oh, absolutely horrible garbage.
It was the absolute worst. But before I let you go, man, before we end the show here, feel free to plug your podcast for all the fans listening out there.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, so guys, don't listen to it during Graham's podcast here. Listen to his first. But I have a podcast. It's on Ustream. Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland. John with 2 N's. It's on Ustream. My Twitter handle, Reborn Again. REBOURNE again. I got a link to my Ustream page in there. And also I'm on YouTube. I put that show on YouTube. Jonathan Ritland, Jonathan 2 N's, JONNATHAN, Ritland, RITLAND. Look for that in the search engine. Give it a shot. I'm over 1,100 views on YouTube, shockingly, and I'm almost at 1,100 views on Ustream. My American Dream Dusty Rhodes tribute on YouTube. Couldn't believe that. It was crazy. I looked at it like, okay, 220 views, okay. 2 days later, 800 views. Well, that could be a typo. It's crazy, man. But yeah, I mean, RIP to the Dream. I mean, I can only imagine how he was smiling seeing the NXT women out there.
Yeah, an amazing moment, yeah. The power of the Dream. Yeah.
He worked so hard with them.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man, no, it's been a lot of fun. Feel free to have me on the show again.
Sounds good, man. Absolutely. Definitely down the line. Yeah. But as you mentioned, you guys can follow him on Twitter at Reborn Again. Check out the podcast. Check out the YouTube. But as I mentioned, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. It was a ton of fun.
Anytime, man. No, I'll absolutely do it. I mean, it's like anytime you want to have me on the show, I can absolutely plug. I can plug about the old school stuff too.
That too, exactly. Go watch the WWE Network and all the other great pay-per-views. I know you're watching those a lot. You're reviewing those shows. A lot of great stuff on the network, you know?
Oh, so much good stuff. They need to add all the nitros, even though the last ones weren't really that good. They need to add Thunder, and they need to add, like, some more WCCW stuff. We need to see more stuff with the Von Erichs before they got more injury-prone. And we're still at Von Erichs, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm looking forward to more network stuff, hopefully in the near future. Hopefully in due time they can upload more content. But speaking of the network, Battleground on Sunday. It's going to be a great show. Looking forward to it. Hopefully you enjoy it too, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks once again to John for coming on the show. Had a great time. As I mentioned in the recording, you can follow him on Twitter at Reborn Again. You can follow me on Twitter at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook. Give the page an old thumbs up at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Find me on YouTube for exclusive excerpts of WrestleRant Radio, #AskGSM, the WrestleRant editions, and everything else in between at youtube.com/C/Graham.GSM or just Graham GSM Matthews. And also be sure to visit the website, nextairwrestling.net, where you're listening to this show right here, right now. Reviews of Raw, SmackDown, Impact, NXT, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, and everything else in between up every single day. For the most part, a weekly WWE Week in Review. Also up every single Tuesday, new episodes of WrestleRant Radio. Next week, we've got at Jamie Lee Mack, if everything goes according to plan. I know he was supposed to be on this week. We had a few scheduling conflicts, as we have with our past few guests. I know John was supposed to be on or Jonathan rather, was supposed to be on a couple of weeks ago. And we got I went on vacation, so we got a couple mishaps in there and whatever, but at least we finally got him on the show. At Jamie Lee Mack will be on the show next week to help me review Battleground. So in the meantime, and in between time, folks, have a great week, and we'll catch you guys then.